just give me a second here. And we are going to be making a Hot Wheels curve for Slanman Customs. He currently has one that's larger, but we're going to make a smaller one, and we're going to be doing a tutorial to go through on how to do that. I post the link in our Facebook, and hopefully we can get a few people to join. And we will see if the quality completely drops off, as my upload has decided to tank. Oh, okay. And we're coming back. That was weird. Okay. I need to post these links out real quick. Let's see. How do I share? Just have to forgive me as I get this set up. Stream settings. I don't think this is showed. It is not. Video experience will be buffered. That's not good. Where's my share? Add a stream marker. Create a highlight. Share. Let's copy that. Let's go here. Let's go here. I'll post this on here. See. Oh, did I post that? Oh, I did post that here. Okay. And then I wonder if I can just share it. Well, you can share it or you can just watch it. I don't really care. It'll be alright. Alright, let's go back here. Alright, the thing is, my chat, this is going to take up full screen. But my chat. How do I see comments? Close that. Yo. Okay. We're 3 minutes in. I want to see the chat right here. That's not going to do it. Here. Yo, woo! Yes. Excellent. I'm just trying to figure out a way to actually read the chat while I'm actually doing the thing in case you have a question. Or I guess I can just switch over and ask. I'll just do steps and then... Okay. Alright. Alright, so there'll be pauses along the way. And I'll read chat and try to catch up. So as you can see, this is a Slanman Customs curve. It's actually a bigger one, and we're going to make a smaller one. Now, I did parameterize this, so there's going to be a lot of stuff we're going to go over, but I have parameterized this so that I can actually just change the values, and it should adjust itself, but for tutorial purposes, we're going to do from scratch. So this will be fun, because doing stuff live is always fun. So, Fusion 360 is a parametric, CAD tool. That just means that basically you're using math to create everything, so you kind of got to write everything out. But we're going to just, not worry about that and just say, hey, we're going to make stuff with this. So the first thing you're going to do is you're going to want to create a new component. And you do this just to sort of organize this tool chain over here. And it's generally a good thing to do. So this is going to be the 400 millimeter Slanman, we're going to call it 400 millimeter oval. Okay. So now you can see our little radio button over here has decided to tick down into here. We haven't saved it yet, It's not too big of a deal unless the computer dies. But it does autosave as you go along, so it's not too big of a deal. So, how are we going to create this curve? Well, we know that it's going to follow a certain shape. This shape that we're going to follow traditionally has been a circle, but we're redoing it so that we can have a tighter bank on the backside. So what we're going to do is have an oval. So we're going to go into create. Oh, not even that. We're just going to go create a sketch, draw a sketch from the top down. In my computer, let me kill this thing real quick. I think I'm fighting for resources here. Okay. So, we created a sketch, and on our timeline here, you can see we're in a sketch, and we are in this sketch. So anything we do right now is going to be editing this particular sketch. So we're going to create an oval or an ellipse. Okay, so from this ellipse, I think we can do from the middle. So this is going to be pure live, and it's going to be kind of all over the place. Okay, so we got two different, we should have two different, oh, and it didn't do it. Okay, give me the ellipse. Okay, ellipse tool. Oh, why are you not giving me the ellipse tool? Oh, first axis, okay. So first axis is going to be 400. I got to get these jitters out of my system. So first one's going to be 400. Oh, come on. Actually, don't know why it's not being it's not cooperating here. Edit sketch. Create an ellipse. Please allow me to create an ellipse. So some of the fun things that you get to see with that's the first axis. What is it doing? How does it know that we're doing a live stream? We're gonna mess everything up right now. Can I draw a line? Okay. So we can draw a line. I still gotta relax. Gotta relax. So we want to do a 400. And it should give me the things for the other one, but it's not. That's exciting. Very, very exciting. Ruined. The whole thing is ruined. You know what? Let's do it like this, since that's being a silly thing. I think this is the way I did it on the other one anyway. So we're going to do 400 across. And what I did there is I did a line, and we're doing some construction lines just to set up like how we want it to look. And for our oval, yeah, so I can see that we are lagging. Alright, OBS is saying we might be coming back. You know what, maybe I can prioritize my computer on our network. Sorry, this is like pure raw, and I don't even think you guys can hear me because it's lagging so hard. Let's see. I have not tried to do this here before. I need you to be prioritized, please. Devices. I know it's possible. Prioritize a device. You. For 4 hours. Okay. I am prioritized. But OBS is pure red, so... Streaming. Alright, maybe we'll be back this time. Hopefully it comes back. Come on. Alright. We're at slightly lower quality, but it should just be a static image, so hopefully it's not too big of a deal. Such viewers experience buffering, I'm sure. Alright, it's lost it all again. This Cox internet. Oh my gosh. Are you reconnected successfully? Oh, the stream is healthy and excellent. I'm sure it is. Okay. OBS? I don't think you know what's going on, OBS. Suddenly it sends 11,000. Alright. What does this say? This says we might be back. We lost all our viewers. Excellent. Very excellent. Okay. Alright, well. Anybody still there? Anybody back? It says poor stream status. Didn't think this was gonna be just me watching my stream status on the on the stream health. Alright, we're still stable at 3 upload, hopefully. Alright. Well maybe we can maintain something. Okay, so we got ahead of ourselves. So what we need to do is we need to set up some parameters for how big our curve is going to be. So I went to modify and change parameters. So basically we're going to add the size of this curve. So our small diameter is going to be 400, and our large parameter, our long diameter, is going to be 580 millimeters. Also, we're going to set our angles for the curve. So in this particular case, our entry is going to be, I believe, what did we do? Entry angle is 20 degrees. And we need to switch this to degrees. Our max angle it'd be 50 degrees. And if you don't pick degrees, when you go to use these values in the inappropriate place, it's kind of confusing. So, alright. So I'm going to switch this guy to be our small diameter. So now, whenever we change this, it will actually just resize. There should have been a way I could have done this from setting the midpoint, and then it would just go up and down, but I guess it's not gonna behave for me right now because I'm trying to do it all live. So then we're actually gonna go straight up, and what we're gonna say is our long diameter, and we're just gonna do long diameter divided by 2. Okay, so now you can see, because it's a function, it's gonna give us that up there. So now I'm gonna create an ellipse. It wants me to place the center point. There we go. Yeah, I don't know why it was misbehaving last time. Alright, but this ellipse is not going to be a construction. It's actually going to be a thing we're going to use. So now we have our ellipse, so we can see it here. Okay. Hooray, we made an ellipse based on parameters. Did anybody get to actually see it? We're live streaming. Maybe, maybe not. I don't know. Okay. Alright, so now that we got this ellipse, this is going to be basically the, the general shape of our curve. And you can see that this one's going to be 400 millimeters from end to end. So we're going to finish this sketch. And now we have, this oval, this lovely oval. And in our timeline, we have the sketch, which is our 400 our oval that we just made. Okay. So the next thing we need to do is we need to basically draw the shape of our track, and that's going to be traced along this path. So we're actually going to be creating another sketch, and we're going to do that on the front, and we're going to be coming down in here, and one of the things we're going to do is we're actually going to project this other sketch that we just did into this sketch. So what that simply means is we're going to include it, we're going to bring it in to this sketch so that we can reference it. Okay, so now that gives us a point. Before we didn't have a point to work with. Occasionally Fusion 360 will give you a point to work with, but it doesn't actually stick around when you start moving stuff, and stuff gets kind of funky in my noobish experience. We basically just projected that oval. We projected that oval into our new sketch. Okay, so now what we're going to do is we're actually going to do a construction line. It's going to be the flat part of our curve. So we're going to hover over here. We're going to go over here. And, oh, we need track length. So how long is this thing going to be? So I'm just going to cancel that. We're going to go up here. And I have a cheat sheet for all the dimensions of this track. As you should sketch stuff out and get all your sort of idea of how big you want things. Because if you don't have specific dimensions, stuff can go wrong and it's hard to kind of fix. But we have a general track width, and that track width is 81.5 millimeters. Okay. Okay, so we had track width. So back to this, we're still in construction mode. We're going to have a box over this, which means we're basically tying in this, this point is always going to be touching this guy until we do something drastic, and then it'll go away. So we're going to drag out away from that, and we're going to type track width. We got our track width, 81.5. And so this, what Fusion will do when you have something that's not constrained, as they say, when it's not constrained, the color will be a different color. But in this case, this point is basically fixed here. You can see this here says it's coincident, which means that it's like tied to this guy that we projected. This stands for parallel, so it is horizontal, and it's a fixed length, like it knows the length. So everything about this is known, so it's constrained to right here. And we're going to put that guy down here. So now we're actually going to do our angle for the bottom of the track. So same thing, we're going to constrain our point here. We're going to come up here, and right now we're not going to constrain the angle because Fusion is convinced that it wants to do from the back side. It's trying to do it from over here, and I don't really know how to make it do it from down here naturally, so we're just going to say track width. We're not going to constrain the other angle, and you can see how this one is blue, and that's because he can free float around here. There's no definition telling him how to do here. So what we're going to do is we're going to sketch a dimension, and we're going to say you and you are going here. And now we're going to say you're going to be our entry angle. And so now that is 20 degrees. So if I, in this modify section now, if I change this, if I change entry angle to, 10, that goes down. If I change it to 40, it goes up. And that's ideally, if you constrain everything perfectly, you'll be able to dial everything in and adjust everything on the fly at the end of this. Inevitably, you won't be able to do that, and that's why sometimes creating these things takes a long time. Okay. So here we have our actual track component, the bottom of the track, at a 20-degree angle, fixed to this position here, and it's basically getting ready so that we can loft it around this arc. So some of the other components we need to know how tall this track is. We need to know how deep the track is, so we have a space in here. We need to know the widths of the wall heights that we want to do. So as you can see in here, it kind of gets there's lots of stuff going on, but we're basically going to need to sketch out all this stuff so that we can then project it around the curve. So to do that, we're gonna add some more parameters. One of those is gonna be called track height, and track height is going to be 23.5. Okay, and then we have different thicknesses for our walls on either the inside or the outside. And so I had some naming conventions that were kind of mixed up a little bit. track outer wall thickness, track middle wall thickness. So we're going to have track which I believe is 2.5 or 2.25. 2.25. And so what this is actually doing is we're setting up to match Hot Wheels track almost exactly, so that when we put in our little angles down at the bottom of this track, it'll sync up real nice, and you won't get any clipping with your cars on the sides. And then we got track wall. Since we're doing that, track mid wall thickness. In this case, we use 3 millimeters for the inside one, for the middle one. We also define the lane thickness here, so track lane thickness, which I believe is 37. Yeah, or track lane width. I'm gonna try to keep the naming the same as the other curve, so if I have to go back and change something. 37. Okay, so we know how high up to go, how far over to go. Oh, lane height. And so these curves, anytime you click away, this dialog goes away, which is kind of annoying. So we're gonna do track outer lane height. Track wall outer lane height. And I believe this one is, I called it outside height, 16 millimeters. Track wall outside. I'm just going to call it outside height. Okay. And then we'll have track wall middle height. I think that one's 14. Yep. Okay. And then we got track wall inner height. I think that one's like 6 or something. It's really small. 8. Okay. So now we know how high up to go, how far over to go, how down to go, how big the width is. We can do that for each of these. And then there will be only one last leg, which we don't have a value for, but because the entire rest of the sketch is constrained, that will be constrained as well. So we start going in here. We're not in construction mode, which is good. So we're going to make sure we get our squares. We're going to click. We're going to make sure that we have this little right angle down here so that we know that's constrained. And this is going to be track height. Okay. You can push L to create to automatically start doing another new line. We get a box. We come over. We have our right angle, and so we can say track outer wall thickness, which should be 2.25. We do it again. We come down. Track wall outside height. So we come in, do it again, go across, track lane width. Okay. Do it again. We go up. Track middle height? Question mark? I think so. Do it again. Track mid wall thickness, which was 3. L again, back down, and like I said, I'm sure there's people that are like professional at this. I watched a few YouTube videos and I kind of understood the general concepts. So it's kind of why I'm doing it the way I'm doing it. So I'm sure there's much better ways to do this. Track wall. Let's see, track lane width. Line. Inner wall height. And then the outer is the 2.25. Oh, that's not the right one. Outer wall thickness. Alright, so now everything, because we know all these widths, there's really not a definition here. And if you try to fix this one, Fusion 360 will tell you that you're over constrained. And so now we just draw a final line from this one down to this one, and our whole box is black. Okay. So that's one side of this. We do need to do the other side. you can copy and paste, but I've actually had that take longer than just drawing the thing, so I'm just going to draw the thing. Alright, so just go through all these motions again, make sure we got, let me see if we have any questions, if anybody's actually watching. I can hear you, comes back. Zilch when it's looping, freeze, take care, we'll watch after. Okay, no problem. Alright. Well, 30 minutes in, I think this says nobody's watching. Okay, so back over here. Alright, so going through these motions again. Make sure we got our box. Come over here. Track width. Okay, that's good. Now we're going to get out of construction. Go up here. Track width as well. And there's really no reason to do them exact, like, you could probably just draw this straight out as long as you get the other constraints, but I just like to make it so that it's like that. So now we're going to constrain this guy for our angle. Entry angle. Okay. And now we're going to go through those other motions of drawing this guy out. Track height. Why I did that. Okay, and then so you can notice it's like it's giving me this check mark that's kind of in the way, and I can kind of just keep going instead of having to hit L and do the line again. And that's because I just clicked with the mouse. So you can do that, or you can hit enter and hit L, either way. But you can sometimes you can inadvertently be creating lines that are not constrained that you didn't realize, and that's kind of annoying when that happens. So this is track wall, outer thickness. So here I want the 90. Track wall, outside height. I want the 90. Track lane width. Because Fusion's trying to constrain it in the way that it thinks it's supposed to, but sometimes, I mean, and granted, I've like learned a lot of maybe bad habits, but I've had a lot of things ruined because I didn't do it the right way, and it's kind of frustrating. Mid-wall thickness should be 3 millimeters. Oh, we lost it. That happens too sometimes. Mid-wall thickness. Track mid-wall height. We want a 90. Track lane width. And then back up here. Track inner height. Track outside wall thickness. And fully constrained. Alright. So these two guys are done. So finish sketch. That's going to be those guys. So one thing you can see is in our little thing over here, we have these two sketches. We can actually, if one of them's in the way while you're doing stuff, you can actually hide them. Okay. So now we need to basically draw our max angle here on the back. So luckily we lined this up right on the middle, so we can use this plane that cuts right through here. It's one of the origin planes. But because this is a new sketch, so here, see, it presented us with the dot, but we're gonna go ahead and project that dot into our space, just as a good habit here. So we projected it. We're gonna do our line, construction line. It's still the same, track width. It's parallel, it's flat. Black line's good. Go in here. Track width. Go up here. It's unconstrained. That's fine. We're going to do our dimension. It is an angle, max angle. Okay. So max angle 50. We can actually move these things out of the way a little bit, just so they're not in our way. Okay. Now we're going to draw this guy. Track outside. So one of the reasons, well, I mean, it's kind of obvious with Hot Wheels track, but because you want the same dimension the whole way through. So we're just making sure that this whole thing, oh, it's track height actually, is going to be as uniform as possible, because some of the tools in Fusion behave best when everything is exactly the same. And you'll still see it mess up. I'm almost 100% that it's going to mess up on trying to draw, basically fill in the body for us here. And then you'll get to see how to try to fix that. That's not the right one. Wall thickness. Track outside wall height. Give me a 90. There we go. Track width. No. Lane width. Track lane width. There we go. Track mid-wall height. Track mid-lane width. Mid-wall thickness should be 3. Give me a 90. Thank you. Track middle height. Track lane width. Track wall inner height. Track outer wall thickness. And then fully constrained. Alright, sweet. That looks good. Finish sketch. Okay, so we have 3 sketches. They're pretty simple. So if all was right in the world, what we'll do next is we'll use the Loft tool, and we'll be able to sketch our track. But generally speaking, all is not right in the world. So the Loft tool is basically expecting these profiles. So profiles are what it's going to try to map across whatever surface. And so what does that actually mean? So I basically picked this first profile, and I'm going to go pick the second profile. And Fusion is trying to intelligently connect all the dots from the first profile to the second profile. For whatever reason, it decides to add a whole bunch more, and usually skews them up and messes them up somehow. This doesn't happen when the turns and the angles of the shapes of the profiles that you're trying to map together are not as extreme. I'm sure somebody could probably write something in Fusion to actually do a little math to see that these are actually the same shape and maybe map them appropriately, but that's beyond the scope of this. That'd be something for Fusion people to actually do. So ideally, right, we'd pick that profile, profile 2, pick profile 3. It's trying really hard, bless its heart. So we're going to give it, you can give it guide rails. Sometimes that works. Sometimes it doesn't. In this case, it decided to do it all the way around, but we still have these extras, so that's not really the way we want to go. Or we can do the center line. And we basically, anytime I'm picking these things over here, it's giving me this pointer. And so now I'm basically picking here, so I'm going to pick this as the center line. But you can see that Fusion added these extra values because it, did some odd way of trying to figure out how to map it. And you can see that our inner side here is not good. And so this is generally the first time I ever tried Fusion, like to do this kind of stuff in Fusion. I had very complex shapes and very complex shapes and very complex shapes. And I did this part, and it was just so frustrating. I didn't understand what was going on. So we're going to cancel this. And we are going to add some more profiles. So this is where we start deciding how does this thing actually look, because we need to be able to describe to Fusion like what we want. So our entry angle is 20. Our highest angle is 50. So somewhere in this general vicinity, we're going to have to pass through all the different angles between there. And so we're going to pick maybe 30 and we'll go over this too, but a certain distance away from here, we need to be able to sketch another profile at a slightly less angle than here, but more than here, and hope that when we do the loft, Fusion will be able to figure it out. And that is an interesting thing to have to figure out. So, how are we going to do that? We need to make a sketch over here. Last two times we did sketches, we were presented with the origins, but actually what those are is planes. So we're going to construct a plane. And so there's lots of ways to construct planes. You can construct planes that are offset, planes at angles. What we're going to do is we're going to construct a plane along a path. And so that's going to ask us to pick a path. So we're going to pick this path. Now, the default settings up here, tangent chain, I don't really know what that does. I just leave it default. Up over here, though, we have this distance type. And we have proportional or physical. And so we're going to leave this at proportional. And when you move this around, notice when we're here, sort of at one side, we're at basically 1 or 0. I guess it's 0. And over here, we're at 50. So if we were back down here, we're going to be in sort of the 0 to 50. And up here is 0.75. So we're going to draw two identical things, about 30 percent, because basically you can think of this as like going around the circle as 100%. So from the 75% point, we're going to go this way, maybe, I forget how far I did it. I don't want 85. Let's just do 0.8. Okay. So we're going to draw this guy here, and we can make it so we can change this too. So we're going to do this guy here at 0.8. Oh, that's not far enough at all. So let's go back to this. So we want to change this. So we're going to right click it, and we're going to say edit feature. How about 0.85? Seems kind of reasonable. Pretty reasonable. So for our curve, if we start at 20 degrees, if we get to 35 by the time we're here, that's kind of a nice over. And then the next 15 degrees are going to be really aggressive, but we're going to be going so fast. We're going to be hitting that corner. It's going to hold it to us and slingshot us around. That seems reasonable. So I'm going to pick 0.85 for here. And then I'm going to construct another plane along a path, pick this path, and we're going to, since we added basically 0.1 here, we're going to subtract 0.1 here, so we're going to go to 0.65. Okay. So that's where our next two planes are going to be. Okay, and now we're going to draw these things. So now I could parameterize these. I could make this parameterized, but I'm just going to leave it like this because I think this is kind of where we want these. This is a nice enough angle change that Fusion should be able to figure it out, and then this to here Fusion should be able to figure it out. If not, then we'll back this off. But you'll see because we project into there, we'll be able to actually keep everything squared away. Let me see if there's any questions. One person came back. Yeah, we had like 8 there for a while it was just dying. It looks like it's dying again, which that sucks. Maybe it's okay. Okay, hopefully it's okay. And then are all the buttons and stuff that I'm doing readable? If anybody's watching in there. We're back to excellent. All right, we're just gonna keep going. I can always do this again. My internet's not supposed to suck this bad, but we'll see. All right, so now we're going to sketch here. So we're gonna create a sketch. All of our planes are presented to us. We're gonna pick this guy. Okay, we are going to hide these other two guys we just did. And actually, let's put this on the origin here, but we're still going to project this big curve into here. And then we're going to do the same thing we just did. Make our construction, make sure there's a box. Go there, so we got our track width. Okay. And then we're going to get rid of the construction. Our line tool stayed around. Track width. Okay. We're going to constrain that guy. Oh, well, we need an angle. We don't know what angle we want, so we're going to cancel that. So I'm going to just say 35 degrees So we're gonna call this, let's see, how about mid angle, and this is going to be degrees, and we're gonna say it's gonna be 35. So our track goes from 20 to 35 and 35 to 50, and that'll be excellent. Okay. So we're gonna sketch a dimension. These all went blue. I'm not sure why. What happened there, guys? What happened? Is it just a bug? Oh wait, okay. No, this is not blue now. Okay. I don't know what I saw. Okay, so we're gonna go like this, and it's gonna be mid angle. Okay, so that's gonna be 35 degrees. Now we're gonna go, let's see, draw some lines. This is track height. Do another one. This will be track outside. Let's see, outer wall thickness. Go down. Track outside height. Track lane width. Track middle height. Track mid wall thickness. Track middle wall height. Come. Track lane width. Track wall inner height. Track outer wall thickness. And fully constrained. Okay. Alright, so that's that guy. So let's just go see. So we're gonna finish that sketch. So we can't draw the other one because this plane doesn't go through that other spot. But we can bring these guys back. Now you can see we still have our other plane sitting over there. So we're gonna test this to see that Fusion doesn't add extra stuff here. So go to our Loft tool. We're picking profiles because our arrow's up here. Pick our first profile, pick our second profile, pick our third profile. That's looking promising. And then we're going to do the center line, and we're just gonna pick that. And that looks like it's gonna work. All right, so we just gotta do the other side, and we should be able to do the whole thing. Okay, so we'll go ahead and cancel that because we wanted to do it. We want to do it all in one go. Okay, so we will sketch another thing. Create a sketch over here. Let's hide these guys. Let's project our ellipse into there. Let's sketch our bottom plane. Oh. See how that? So there, it was like an X, right? If I would have clicked, I wouldn't have had the behavior that I would have expected, which I don't know what the X is actually trying to tell me. Maybe that it's cutting into something, or that it's not. I honestly don't know. Track width. Okay. And do another one. Get out of construction mode. Track width again. Just somewhere up here. That's fine. Sketch our dimension. Constrain this guy to mid-angle. Okay. We're going to sketch again. And so, like I said, you could potentially copy and paste the thing here and from the previous that you just drawn, but it's just, it feels safer to do it this way, which is kind of silly, but I don't. Fusion's still kind of a mythical beast, so let's see, outer wall thickness, outer wall height. I want a 90 degree right there. Track lane width. Track middle height. And if he sneezes twice. Track and oh my god, mid wall thickness. Middle wall height, track lane width, track inner wall height. Oh, lost it. Track wall inner height. There we go. Track outer wall thickness. And back home. Alright. Finish that guy. Go back out here. Okay, so let's create our loft. Pretty sure we can pick it from either side. It's not too big of a deal. Alright, and then we pick our center line. So if you had a much more complex shape and you just couldn't get Fusion to give you what you wanted, you could do these rails, and you could go in and draw more ellipses or more curved lines. Like they have splines. I don't know if you don't know what splines are. Splines are a way to define a shape based on points, and you could place splines on each of these spots, and you could have the curve run through there. But stuff starts to get a little weird when you start to do that, because the splines might not necessarily have the same strength on each of the points that you're placing. But that is a way to basically force Fusion to say, look, this is a rail. You need to connect this dot to this dot to this dot to this dot to this dot. If you can get it, I've found that if you can get it to do the center line, it's just a little safer. A lot of the older curves that I've done have used the rails, and you're doing splines, and it became like the things can become a bit of a mess. 400mm one, and it looks like I'm lagging again. Oh, maybe not. Maybe it's fine. Oh, my streaming software told me I was lagging. Don't lag, don't lag. Okay. So, now that we have this, we're still a little ways off from being able there. So the next thing we're going to do is, before we start slicing it up, we're going to add these, the Hot Wheels track is angled on the sides, so we're going to put those tapers in here. So we're going to go, we actually know the dimensions for that. So we're going to go track wall taper height. And that's going to be 5.3. Okay. And then we're going to go track wall width. And that's going to be 1.75. Okay. And now, because we've already designed this, we got our loft in place, we're actually just going to create and I'm going to butcher, a camper. I don't know what they are. The first one's going to be on this guy and this guy, and it's going to be two distances. That first one is going to be taper height. And the second one, I just hit tab to switch to the next one, is going to be taper width. Okay. And then we're going to click plus to add a new set of things we're picking, and we'll pick the other lanes, or the other side of the lane, I guess. Okay. And the arrow is highlighted as blue, so when we're doing width, so we're going to do track, where's the taper? Taper width, hit tab, taper height. Okay. So now we got this. So traditionally, before maybe a few months ago, I would actually sketch these settings here, or these values here, and then have to loft those through, and that was just an absolute nightmare. If you can keep the design as simple as possible and then add, like, visualize where you can add this type of stuff after it, some of the stuff becomes much easier. All right, so we got our curves here. So we need an inner lip so people can brace stuff. So what we're gonna do is we are going to create a new sketch, but we're going to do it from this guy. Okay. So I'm going to click this guy. I'm going to say create a sketch. And we're going to come in here. And this stuff doesn't usually get messed with after you create it. So we're actually going to create a box. We're going to make sure we got our little square down here. We're going to like that. And usually I think we do 25 and 2. Okay, and let's hit enter. So this is a fully constrained box that's just kind of drawn right here. And we're going to finish that sketch. Go back out here. And so we're going to create this lip. But now that we have all this nice stuff in place, we are just going to sweep. So sweep is going to take our profile, which we just drew, and we want both parts of that profile. And then a path. Now the operation, because we're intersecting, is defaulting to cut. So we don't want to do that. We want to join. We want to join it to our other body. And we say okay. So now we got our lip. So that's another simplification. We used to actually draw this part in the first sketch, and so that's just another thing that Fusion would have to try to calculate to Loft, and a lot of times it wouldn't actually make this totally flat on the bottom or the top, which is, you know, it just had these micro imperfections, and it wouldn't, when you tried to put it on your print bed, if you were printing it in this orientation, it literally would not be flat on the bottom, and it didn't make any sense why until I realized you could just sketch it and then revolve it, or you sweep it around there, and now it's actually like this. Okay, so we have our basic shape kind of in place. What should we go to next? We should let's do, well, how long have we been streaming? 44 minutes. It's not bad. Not too bad. Feel free to ask questions. Oh, it looks like I lost concurrent views. That's fine. Broke again. Yeah, it did. It's being a pain. This internet's being goofy. Alright, so back to our little guy. What do we want to do next? Let's do... So once you slice it, you're pretty much done at that point. You slice, well, you're almost done at that point. So let's add all the stuff before we slice. So one of the things we can do is let's add our words. That's fun. So we're going to create a sketch, and we're going to create that sketch on this plane. Okay. Now we are going to create text, and we're going to create text on a path. So we're going to select our path, and we got a few different ones to pick from. I'm actually going to, here, let's cancel that. I'm actually going to project, so this is going to show kind of what project is doing a little better. I'm going to project one of these overhangs. So you can see here, we have this thing that overhangs, and you can see that red line down there on the bottom. When I project this into the other plane, it's actually going to give me a new line that aligns with that. So now I got a purple line kind of in the middle there because I picked that blue line. And now I can actually work with that line. So now I can actually draw text on that. So text from a path. Now that purple line is going to be my path. Okay. Sample text. So what are we going to type here? This is for Slanman Custom. So we're going to say Slanman Customs. It's currently stuck over here, so you can do some sort of manipulation on, you know, how it's looking, if it's above or below. So a lot of times you can get away from having to do some of this stuff if you pick the right combination, but that's not what we want. We want it down here. And then we did all caps. We can change that if we wanted. We can, let's see, you can make it fit to path, but that's usually not what you want, sadly. So we have this character spacing value, and we have this character height value. So if you really get in here, so let's spread it out. Let's just start spreading it out. So let's pick 100. and we hit enter. That's not what we wanted. So we're going to pick our text. We're right click. We're going to edit text. Right back in there. Let's bump this up to 200. Let's bump this up to 500. Let's bump this up to 5. Yeah, let's do 600. It's not too bad. Let's do 650. It seems reasonable. Okay, everything's there. We can see everything. I think that's fine. Alright. Alright, so hit enter. Alright, so our sketch is there. So now we want it to... Okay, so we haven't done this yet. So this is typically one of the tools you always do, and that's the extrude tool. So what we're going to do is we are going to... Oh, we're going to finish our sketch first. So finish our sketch. So we sketch this on here. So now we're going to extrude. So extrude's typically what you do when you have a sketch and you want to make a solid object. So we have one body here, and we basically want to etch this text down into it. So we're going to say we want to extrude it. And it automatically says pick a profile, so we're going to pick our text profile. And in this case, we have an arrow, whether it's up or down, so we want it to go down. But we don't want to go all the way through, because that'll make it kind of hard to print. We want to, try to give us as much success as possible to print. So we know this is 2, so we're only going to go down 1 millimeter. Okay, so that's going to cut in just 1 millimeter. We can see the operation is cut, and that should be all we got to do there. So we're going to hit OK. It cut it in there, so now it says Slandman Customs in our guy. That's good. We need a way to connect track to this thing. So we have some dimensions that we typically use for the connectors that we connect Hot Wheels track with. So we're just going to use that. We're again going to sketch. So is there anything else we got to do before that? No. I think we can do the connectors. We can do the connectors, and then we can slice it, and then we can do the slim connectors, and then we can do the stands, and then it'll be done. I think. Yeah, okay, so we're going to do a sketch here. So we're going to create this sketch. We're going to project these we want the middle of these, the exact middle for our measurements. So we're going to project this guy and this guy. You know what, and actually, we'll do it separate. We'll do that one separate. Okay, so we're going to project these two into here. So now we're actually going to create a point. And that point, I guess I can make it a construction point. That point on here, so right now we have this X. Well, at some point, no pun intended, there's going to be a triangle, and that's telling us that we're at a midpoint. So we're going to create a point at the midpoint for both of these. Okay, so now we got 2 midpoints. We're going to get rid of the construction. Yeah, we can leave the construction. So leave the construction. We're going to grab our line tool. So I happen to know that these things need to be 1.4 millimeters away from that. And you can see that's constrained right there. Again here. 1.4. 1.4. I also happen to know that. So now we're going to switch to here. So these things are typically 26 millimeters wide. So we're going to go one way 13. And then we're going to go the other way 13. And the reason I'm not entering these in this parameter sets is because these are kind of like set in stone for now. If I ever have to go back and change it, it would suck. But I mean, I would just we've been using this for a while, so I don't feel like changing it right now. There. And what these connectors do is they actually fit regular Hot Wheels connectors. Okay, they do an okay job. But then they fit our other connectors fairly well too. 5. Okay, and then this is 4.5 from here. this construction, get rid of that guy, come back over here. We're gonna go there, and we're gonna go here. Okay, so that's gonna be one of them. I can try to show you guys how to do copy. So we can actually, right click or double click a line, and it'll try to close it. Sometimes it doesn't get them all, but you'd have to pay attention. And you can actually do Control C and a Control V. That'll give you a new guy here. So now we have this profile that we're just kind of moving around, and we're going to use this point to point to say, hey, snap this point here. Because these are the same angle and geometry, it's going to align just fine. So we can go and say OK. Notice it's blue. It's not fully constrained. We just did basically a quick time save to get that guy there. The dimensions are all there, but there's something that's not constrained in here, and I don't know how to check what that thing is, sadly. But whatever it is, it leaves it blue, but that's really not that big of a deal here. So we're going to finish the sketch on that side, and we'll go over to this other side before we extrude that guy. So go here, going to create a sketch. We're going to project these things into here. Okay, we're going to go some midpoints. I'm not going to make it, I don't know if it makes a difference if I do that or not. Let's leave that there. Let's do 1.4. Let's do another line. Let's do 1.4. Let's do another line. Not construction. Let's go to 13. Another line. Let's go 13. Let's do another line. 13. Oh, yeah, this is how, well, I guess we're doing it this way now. 13. Another line. 3.5. Another line. 3.5. Another line. 5. Another line. 5. And actually, the original reason I did the little V cut here, I don't know if anybody, if Slam knows, but it was because my original connectors, when I would stuff them in, they would actually break apart the layer lines based on the way that I'd print it and how flat it was, and I'd get cracks down here, and it was really frustrating. So I added this, I think I just called it the stress relief. I just had like a little stress relief. It makes it play less nicely with the Hot Wheels, actual Hot Wheels connectors, but you can kind of just fit them in there. They still fit in there and work. 3.5. Yeah, so this one's going to be fully constrained, which is fine. 5. 5. 5. And then construction line 4.5. Another line. And another line. Okay. So that looks good. Okay. So we got these guys. One of them's blue. Excellent. So we're going to extrude those. So we're going to pick all those profiles. And we are going to extrude those back. And I believe it's 34 millimeters. So we got these picked. You can see they go through here. But you can also see that it's going to cut through. So we would have some nasty jagged stuff on the back. So I'm going to show you how you can go back in time to fix stuff like that. So we're going to cut this. You can see, just as we discussed, that we got this nasty thing on the back, and that'll actually add weakness to our print if you have stuff like that, and possibly just make it fail when it gets to that spot. So we're going to go back to these sketches we did. So we're going to go to this first one here. We're going to edit the sketch. So we're going to add, so what we did here is when we extruded is we cut back. So what we're going to do is we're going to make a little buffer zone and we're actually going to extrude and add that before we do the cut. And because we're always joining, we're just building this shape up before we, do our cut into it, and that's going to give us our stuff we need. So this is going to be 1.4 millimeter buffer, which doesn't sound like a lot, but it ends up being fine. And I'm going to, I think, let's see, that was 4.5. So I'm going to go down 5.5 here. I think that's acceptable. Okay. I'm going to do that here. 1.4. Do another line. 5.5. Do another line. Connect these guys. Okay. We didn't cut through on this other one, so I'm not going to create the buffer here. But you could potentially do that if you wanted to. So I'm going to finish that sketch. So notice it dropped us back up here, and the timeline down here put us back to the very end. So I'm going to go before we did that extrude, and I'm going to say, hey, I want to see my sketch is gone, right? So I want to see that sketch that we just did. I can see my buffer around there, and so because we're before that other extrude, I'm going to say I want to extrude this guy, and I want to extrude him back negative 36. Oh, gotta be clicked it. Negative 36. So we're going to give it 2 millimeter buffer on the outside, but I don't want to cut, I want to join. And so you can see that's going to stick through. And I'm going to say, okay. And now when I go to do my next step, it's now cut through there, and it's all contained. So then we can, put a nice smooth curve on that later on, once we get to that step. Alright, so that's how we basically do that particular part. Let's go over to, let's get rid of that sketch. Let's do it on the other side, because right now we still have the nasty thing on the other side. Is it this one? I think it was this one. So we're going to edit the sketch. We're going to come in here. We're going to go 1.4. We're going to go down 5.5. 1.4. 5.5. Connect those two. Finish the sketch. Go back in time. See my sketch. Extrude this guy and this guy. Negative 36. But join. You can see it there. And then we move forward. Okay. So, and then we can get rid of the sketch. And you can see now we have basically the basic design here. And if we had a really big printer, we could print the whole thing and we wouldn't have to split it any further. And this would be amazing and smooth the whole way, but printers typically aren't this big. So we gotta do some more work on this. Let's see if there's any questions popped up. No, YouTube's telling me the connection's poor. It's unfortunate. I'll have to go back and rewatch this to see if that's true. Okay, so we have this big body, and we have this nice curve with these connectors, and we have this here, but this is too big to print. We can see how big this is. So this is roughly 350 millimeters tall, or deep, however you'd want to print it. And then from side to side, we can use this measurement tool. We can actually see that it is 553 millimeters overall. So you wouldn't even be able to fit this on at this orientation. You wouldn't be able to fit it on like an Ender Max at all. So what we have to do is split this thing up. And to do that, so we get out of this measure. So one of the pitfalls is you can sometimes have this this measure tool but just be chilling over here and nothing will work, and it's because the measure tool is still saying, hey, I want to be measured. But you can see that our original profile is still the 400 millimeters, just like we specified at the beginning. Okay, so that's done there. All right, so where do we want to split? Well, we're going to split it right down the middle, and then we're probably going to split on maybe 30-degree increments. I don't know. We can kind of pick however we want. On this guy, we kind of have, because the angle is kind of extreme there, we have, you know, so you think if you're printing, it's going to be going up layer by layer this way. You start to get this overhang, so you can't really do it evenly. So because otherwise, then you have this big overhang, and then you have to support it and waste a lot of filament. So you kind of are left with this long piece, the shorter piece that's very aggressive, and then sort of the entry piece, which is not so aggressive. So on our smaller curve, we're going to go ahead and split it here, probably here, and probably here. So to do that, though, we need some more of our construction planes. And now that we are just working straight up off the curve, we don't have to, we can actually use the proportional and actually split it at a 30% mark on the curve itself, which is kind of nice. So we're going to start constructing some planes. And we already have the plane. There's already a plane that's through the mid plane, so we don't have to worry about that. We're going to do, I can hear my nephew in the background. We're going to construct one along, we just want to make sure we pick the same spot each one. So we're going to pick this top. Let's just pick this inside. Let's pick this inside corner. Okay. So you can see the proportional grows as we're doing this. That's 50% up there, and 100% over here. So let's do, if we did 30 here. Well, we don't. Let's do the first one. Let's draw the first plane up here, and let's go back this way. 35 might not be too bad. 40 actually. Oh, here's 35. So 35. So remember, that's coming, so the midpoint is 50. So if we came back 15% this way, basically, I think that's acceptable. But down this way, how do I want to do that? You know what, let's do it, let's think about it this way. Let's go ahead and split the whole thing in half first. So to do that, we're going to go modify. We're going to do split body. We're going to pick our body. We have one. We're going to pick our splitting tool, which these planes down here start to show up. We're going to pick this one. So you can see we're going to split this body right down the middle. Okay. And now we have these new bodies here. We have body 1 and body 2. We can toggle these on and off to get a better look. But we have those guys here. So now let's go ahead and add our construction plane. So now we can actually do like 30% of the thing. Plane along a path. Let's do this path. So if we did, what would 30 look like? 0.3. If we did one at 30 and one at maybe 0.7, that would leave kind of a big part in here that's 40%, and we'd have 30% and 30%. That seems reasonable. You could do 33, but then you kind of get into the whole, like, 1.11 repeating, of course, and it's kind of silly. So we'll just do 0.3, and then we'll draw another one. Axis along path here, and we'll do 0.7. So 70%. And that should give us, not too bad. This overhang's not going to be bad. This height is not really as bad as the other one because this curve overall is shorter, and then this is nice there. So we're going to go like We'll go ahead and do the other ones as well. Select the path. Go here. We'll go 30 because we know we're 30 away. We'll do another one. Then line path. Pick this. We'll go up to 70. Okay. All right. So we got all this in here. Now we're going to split the bodies. Select our splitting tool. So you typically only split one at a time. I don't know that there's a way to. I think you can, but it potentially gets confused and gives you a big error if you try to use all the splitting tools at the same time. So typically you just do it one at a time, which that's fine. Split these guys, split this guy, splitting tool. Okay, and then split body, select the splitting tool. Okay. So now we don't need our construction planes. We have all of our pieces. So let's give them names. So I typically say this is my left entry. That is my right back. This is my left mid. This is my left back. This is my right mid. This is my right entry. Alright, so for instance, if we hide the left mid, we can see both sides of this guy, and now we have these nice profiles that we can actually draw on. So we will be using the Slanman Slim connectors to connect those. That looks alright. Looks good. So sometimes with these with those Loft tools, when you're drawing stuff, when you're changing angles and stuff, you can get some kind of wonky looking banks sometimes. But this is looking good. And what you would see is like it would look almost like a forced. It would look like this unnatural shape. It wouldn't look like a nice clean bend. Oh, and here's something else. I don't know if you'll be able to see it on the YouTube quality, but down here you can see this. When you zoom in, it goes away. That means that we're actually super close to puncturing through, and so we should probably go ahead and do that outline on that inside guy as well. So what we're going to do is we're going to go back in time, and we're going to draw that on there. So we're going to go edit this sketch. Fusion's like, sure, it's not a problem. We're going to draw this. 1.4, 5.5. Do it over here. 1.4. Another line, 5.5. Gonna connect those. And was that both sides? Oh, we actually drew those sketches separately. Okay, so we're gonna finish that sketch. But it's like, okay, well, it didn't really help us, right? But we can actually change that extrusion as well. And it doesn't show it as nicely. This should be the first one. So we're going to edit this feature. Yeah, that's the one we did backwards at 36. So we're going to add this guy and this guy to that as well. And to say okay. And now we have those safety spots. We don't have to worry about the nastiness on the back. We just accept it, and we can go ahead and do something with this to make it look a little nicer. So that way we don't have a thin spot in our track. And we'll do that to the other side too, just to avoid that, because I believe these will actually be getting used. Okay, let's see here. Where was that? The sketch. Edit sketch. Come in here. Hit L for line. We're going 1.4. Another L. Going down here. This is going to be 5.5. Another L. This is 1.4. Another L. 5.5. Another L. Go like that. Finish that sketch. And then we're going to change our feature so that we do these two as well. Say OK. And now we don't have that little shimmery, like usually those will show up when you're looking at a profile from far away, and Fusion's actually trying to figure out how to render it, and so it shows as like a potential hole in the model, and that'll manifest as basically a very thin line in your 3D print, which is really frustrating to have. But this way we just say, you know what, we know it's there, we can come in here and do a fillet or whatever on there, make it look nice. Alright, so I got that out of the way. Okay, so now we don't have any of those little oddities. We're going to put our slim connectors in. So I'm going to hide this mid piece, the left mid. No, hide you. And actually, let's hide everything except the left entry. And we'll focus on it. Okay, so we're going to come to this side. We are going to sketch on that. Similar thing, we're going to project right here. Okay. We're going to add our points. Midpoint somewhere in here. Where are you, midpoint? Oh, midpoint, what are you doing? Please? Please be a midpoint? I think I'm getting trolled by that other thing here. Let's go like this. Oh, why is it not giving me a midpoint? Did I finish my project? It should give me a midpoint. That's embarrassing. What about this one?
Wait, someone killed him.
Alright, let's just finish sketch. Let's go back and sketch it again. Edit sketch. Give me a midpoint. That's unfortunate. I don't know why it's not giving me a midpoint. Give it to me. Okay, so more than one way to... So this is one of those little odd knives that we know how to do a midpoint. Maybe I can do that. No. I can't even, like, trick it. Can I just do my line? Oh, was it that? Come on. Come on, Fusion. You can do it. No? Can't? Can't do it? Alright, so we're going to draw... We know the width of our track is 37. Oh, actually it's not because the little cut-ins. I really need it to give me the midpoint.
I killed that other guy at least, right? I got him for you, man.
Fusion. Finish sketch. Delete that sketch. Create a new sketch. Create the new sketch here. Will you please give me... We're gonna project these into our space. Okay. I would like to draw a point on the midpoint.